Kelly, Trevor Milton has been sentenced to 4 years in prison for his role in fraud committed at Nikola when he was the CEO. 2 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of securities fraud. The prosecutors were looking for 11 years in prison. The defense attorneys were arguing that Trevor Milton should be given probation, in part to care for his wife who has been ill. The judge ultimately decided Trevor Milton, the founder and former CEO of Nikola, will be spending the next 4 years, at least that's the sentence, 4 years in prison for fraud. Kelly, back to you.
Hello, family. Welcome back to another episode of Journey to Harmony. I'm your host, Richard Harmon. Today, I'm coming to you and talk to you about the former CEO and president of Nikola Motors, Trevor Milton, being sentenced to jail terms, about 4 years overall in prison. He previously called himself the new Elon Musk during the 2020-2021 run-up for all of the electric vehicles and things of that nature. He was getting a whole lot of praise and a whole lot of accolades as he was claimed to have produced a electric semi-truck. This is important because there's so many different trucks on the road right now. Everyone's in the midst of the electric push. Since that time, people have come around more to realizing that this could be further away, while Tesla is in the process of actually making that a reliable option. This man stole $600 million overall in investor dollars. So go ahead and play a video here. It's your first time joining. Please hit that like button and go ahead and watch this and go from there.
A billionaire founder found guilty of defrauding investors for his $3.3 billion company with technology that didn't exist.
We've built something that no one else thought was possible.
Trevor Milton, the 40-year-old founder of electric truck manufacturer Nikola, convicted by a federal jury Friday of 1 count of securities fraud and 2 counts of wire fraud. The jury finding he lied to investors about the progress his company had made in producing zero-emission 18-wheel trucks fueled by electricity or hydrogen, now facing decades in prison.
This truck is by far the most state-of-the-art truck ever built in history. This thing fully functions and works, which is really incredible.
Prosecutors saying Trevor Milton is a con man. He lied to investors to get their money, plain and simple.
For every doubter out there that said that there's no way this is true, how can that be possible? We've done it.
Milton founding the company 6 years ago in a Utah basement with no engineering training, seemingly positioned to be the next Elon Musk. After a successful stock market run, Milton going on a spending spree, reportedly spending over $80 million in 6 months, purchasing a Gulfstream jet and a multi-million-dollar home in Turks and Caicos. Nikola shares value eventually surpassing Ford Motor in June 2020, but soon after, an investment firm accusing Milton of making false claims, using this video as an example, showing a truck rolling down a hill to make it look like a working prototype. Prosecutors saying its truck was really a General Motors vehicle with Nikola's logo on it, and that the company produced videos of its trucks concealing the flaws.
The closest it ever came to driving was when a group of Nikola engineers took it to the top of a hill and rolled it down so it could be filmed for a commercial.
Milton resigning just weeks after that report. The U.S. Attorney's Office saying, let this case serve as a warning to anyone who plays fast and loose with the truth to get investors to part with their money. It won't end well. Nikola's defense lawyer saying, we're going to keep fighting. He's now released on $100 million bail until his sentencing in January.
All right, guys. So you see there. So this is a pretty brazen situation. So again, he had nothing that actually worked. He, in the midst of everyone and the hype around the electric vehicles in 2021, he basically took a GM truck, slapped his Nikola motor symbol on it, and he raised billions of dollars. He ends up stealing $600 million for himself. And, he says he spends about $80 million in about 3 or 6 months, I believe. And yeah, he's been convicted now to 4 years. So they was expecting him to get 11 years. But I won't think about that, right? Like, so if you go out and you sell, if you sell drugs, you can face, 10 years in prison. This guy stole $600 million from investors. A lot of these people they're retirees. They're people who saw this as an opportunity for them to get ahead. They went out and they put their money in there, maybe some people put their life savings into this particular option, and they end up losing everything. And as a result, people are kind of just with a shrug, this is kind of what is going to happen here. Like some people are going to get some money back, and those are people who are probably the richest and the loudest. But the majority of people are going to end up losing their money because of this overall charge and what is it that he has done. I'll play a little bit more of this clip here. We'll watch that. If it's the first time joining, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. I'll go ahead and play this video here before we close out.
Founder of the EV truck startup Nikola has been sentenced by a federal judge today after a jury found him guilty of 2 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of securities fraud. Trevor Milton became a billionaire overnight when he took Nikola public through a SPAC back in June 2020. That's until allegations of false and misleading statements were raised by short seller Hindenburg Research. With more, we've got team coverage from our Alexis Keenan and Pras Subramanian. And Alexis, let's start with you on the sentencing today and what now becomes of Trevor Milton.
Yeah, so he has a significant sentence. He was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison. Those are 3 sentences for 3 different counts, but to be served consecutively. If they had been strung out, it would have been 12 years. So these are charges that he was convicted of by a jury in Manhattan back in October of 2022, wire fraud, securities fraud. And those charges and conviction were for lying to investors, lying to the public about the capabilities of the companies of Nikola's hydrogen and electric semi and pickup truck capabilities.
All right, guys. So there's been a lot of fraud in the past, for sure. But I think right now, between AI, between the pandemic, between all of these different things, I think that the desire for people to really come up has really fried some people's brains. Social media and the overall flex that is constantly going on is causing people to really think irrationally. I thought my question for a lot of people is, if you could have $50 million, and you would have to spend 4 years in prison, would you make that decision? Would you take the 50 million and take the 4 years? Or would you say that no amount of time, no amount of money is worth your freedom? It looks like a lot of people right here, either they're not considering what these things equate to, or they just really don't care and they figure out that, hey, you know what? I can steal the money, come out, and I can still keep some of that money and then move on with my life from there. And most people are so desiring to live the life of rich and famous and to be in the glamorous life so much that they're willing to do just about anything. This particular man, he stole people's money. He stole people's livelihoods. Some people worked their entire lives. And, unfortunately, the stock market is a crapshoot for the most part. Like there are opportunities where things are some stable areas, but it also places where you're going to be putting your money in, in some very risky places. And for those who invested, a lot of money, I think at one point it was as high as $80 a share, and it dropped all the way down right now to under $1 per share. So if you put in, $200,000, $300,000, you're left with next to nothing right now. And many people are facing this particular issue and this particular situation. My expectation is that as AI and all of these other opportunities where it makes life simpler, these things are going to continue to expand. The desire and the allure of being wanted, being desired, and being seen as successful is going to cause a lot of people to make a lot of decisions that they may or may not have made in other circumstances. For the most part, the COVID, the pandemic time frame was so outrageous in terms of money giving that it made situations like this possible. And under normal circumstances, there probably wouldn't have been enough money. People wouldn't have been as free as they were, but people felt like they were in Vegas playing the lotteries, playing the blackjack table or something like that. And people were just out putting their money down wherever they saw fit. And some people, unfortunately, ended up getting bitten by this particular issue. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that the 4 years is fair? He possibly could spend 2 years if he's given parole. So that's pretty wild overall. You steal $600 million and you spend 2 years in prison. What are your thoughts on this particular issue? Please comment below, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day.